Fred here, welcome back to the Gear Obsession channel. In this episode I will be reviewing the Intel X25-V SATA solid state drive, also known as a SSD drive. Now I did already pre-open this box, but I put everything back the way it came. And I did that because I had a whole bunch of stuff to do before this video prep. So that's how it comes. Go ahead and open this up. I even put it back in its package exactly the way it came. You should have a seal on here, so you should have to break that seal so you know no one tried to sell you a used drive. So here's what it looks like. There's the front. There's the back. So this is a hard drive, but only in the sense of the name, because there's no actual drive in there anymore. This is completely solid state. You wouldn't go banging around a real drive like you would this. This could take some serious shock. So pretty neat. There's a lot of advantages to this. Less heat, takes less power to run, and some of the better ones, this is a bottom of the line value one, but some of the better ones can go even 10 times faster than this. But even this value priced one, which by the way was $89, is still going to put a regular hard drive, you know, even a good hard drive, to shame. That's comparable. So there's your SATA and your power connectors. So on the outside it looks pretty close to what a regular drive. This is a laptop drive, 2.5 inch. So what else do we get? You get a Speed Demon sticker. Get some instructions. Yes, some instructions. Get a disc with some utilities that can be used with this. We'll go ahead and check those out once we install it. And there's more. Get a, even though this is for a laptop, you can't put it in a desktop, because I'll show you why in a second. But if you were to put it in a desktop, you have your connector, data cable, power adapter, lots of screws, and get out of there, and an adapter here so you can mount it in a full-size computer, 5 1/4 dry bay of some sort. So you get lots of stuff. Let me go ahead and sort of lay this out so you can see everything that you get with this drive. So what am I going to do? I'll show you in a second. This is a little net top I have. It came with a 160 gig hard drive, a conventional drive, one that has spinning platters in it and heads that move back and forth on those platters. And sorry about that. I'm going to try to speed this little guy up. You know, since I sort of banged this laptop around, or this net top around a little bit, it would be much better to have a solid state drive in there. There's a look at it, and what I wanted to do here is to press the power button, and we'll see how long it takes to boot up, so we can get a comparison after we swap out the drive. Okay, I'm going to try to do this as close as I can here. And I'm going to time to when the like when your wallpaper would normally show up, the final screen. And as soon as that pops up, that's when I'll call it booted up. Right there. So 33 seconds is how long it takes to boot up to this initial screen. Even though it's still booting up some other stuff, I had to pick a point. So that's the point that I picked to, you know, basically benchmark. So we'll go ahead and open up Well, I'm going to shut down my netbook here, and then we'll go ahead and open it up and swap the drive. Now, the reason why I had opened up the box beforehand is I went ahead and imaged the drive onto here. So this is essentially the exact same configuration and setup as this. Now, this is a 40 gig hard drive. What's in here is 160. That's why it's not exactly the same. But I didn't have a lot of data on here. I just basically had the operating system and what came with it. I really didn't add too much other than Google Chrome onto here. So it's just sort of a web browsing throw around net top. So, you know, it's essentially exactly the same. It's as close as I can get it. Okay, I've already removed the 4 screws here, 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 and here. So I'll go ahead and pry up on this plate. And you can see the hard drive right here. Now with the Asus E, this particular one, by the way, there's your memory, system memory there, which I upgraded. Originally came at 1. I put a 2 gig stick in there. You pull this to the outward like that, and then you can lift it out. So there's the hard drive that came with it. It has a Seagate Momentus 540 RPM 160 gig hard drive. It's nice and warm. And I'm going to go ahead and I have to take this little mounting bracket off and put it onto the solid state drive. So I'll be right back. So here's the old drive. You can see the old integrated circuit right there, which is your controller, integrated controller. And again, now I got the mount onto the SSD drive. And we'll go ahead and just put this in just the same way we took the other one out. And push that right in. Get the cover and place it back onto the laptop, or in this case the net top. So there's a trick to this to get these things back on. There we go. Alright. And now I got to put the screws back in, so I'll be right back. Get one more screw back in here, and we're all done. Then I'll go back and just make sure each one is tight. And I think I misspoke on the beginning. The 4 screws are located here, 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 and here. Not these 2. So we're all done. So we'll turn this over, open it up, and we're going to see how fast it boots up with the new solid state drive. Once again, let's take a look at how long it took with the conventional drive in it. It was 33 seconds. I will reset the stopwatch, place my finger on the go button, and we'll try to hit these at the same time. It's kind of hard to... Not the most coordinated person in the world. Oh, let me get that in there. Sorry. So the time to beat is 33 seconds. So we're looking at 26 seconds. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds faster. And this is a value bottom of the line solid state drive. The ones out there that go at least 10 times faster, if not more than this one. This was a value. I just had to pull the trigger on it. I've been wanting to test the solid state drive for the longest time, and you know, this was the most inexpensive one that I was able to grab and throw it in here. And it's only a 40 gig, but again, it's more than enough for this little guy right here. So very impressive how fast. Now, that speed is not the only thing, the only benefit of a solid state drive. You know, for that extra cost, there's a lot of other benefits to really influence your determination of whether to spend money on this or not. you're definitely decreasing the amount of heat. So if you have a laptop that runs hot, that conventional hard drive, let me grab it here, has to have a motor that spins the platters inside, and that generates heat. And that heat builds up inside the case, so it gets warm pretty quick. Hard drives could get pretty hot. Another thing is they're fragile. They fail because there's a lot of moving parts, and these things are spinning very fast, and the heads have to move precisely to the right tracks and sectors on the platters. So you have these heads moving back and forth on the platters, and there's more than one head. Keep in mind, you have the top and bottom side of each platter, and they're moving back and forth. The head is moving each, just for a single file, it might have to seek several times to get the whole file. So there's a lot of motion and moving. It's a technical marvel, really, how well and how reliable these conventional hard drives work. But they are one of the largest, they're the key point of failure, basically, on a computer. That's what usually fails your hard drives. The other thing that, like in the lab that I work at, I'm always replacing fans. Fans that keep your computer cool tend to fail, and unfortunately this laptop here has a fan, so that is the only moving part in this laptop now, because solid state, there's just chips in it, and there's no moving parts, which is the next big benefit of this, and that is that it can take a beating. You could bang these things around now, and it can take the shock because there's no moving parts to break because of that shock. So now, you could probably bang this around pretty good now, and I wouldn't worry about it one bit as far as the hard drive is concerned. So there you have it. It's pretty simple. The hardest part, of course, is imaging the drive or just reinstalling your operating system onto the new drive once you put it in. And if you have your computer system disk, or if you made your backup disk when you bought the machine, then you just image it back on to the hard drive, and off you go. Okay, real quick, I loaded this disk up, but all it is instruction and warranty. There's no applications or anything on it. Now, I went on to the Intel website and I did a little bit of reading, and it probably says that in the documentation, which I refuse to read. But under support, and we'll go ahead and wait for this to come up. I supposedly have faster internet. There we go. There are some downloads and drivers. And in here, there is a toolbox. They also have migration software. I guess it helps you move. It's probably an imaging software that you could probably get and use for free. But I'm interested in this toolbox. And there's also some firmware updates. So I'm going to go ahead and install this toolbox and see how it goes. So I went ahead and downloaded it on the NetTop here. I'll go ahead and hit next and next. You have to agree. Does anybody actually read the EULAs, the end user agreement? Next. 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 All done. So let's see what this gives us. I'm very interested in what tools you get. Well, it looks like you can run a diagnostic. Here's the selections you get. They have management tools. It provides tools and information that gets the most out of the drive. View drive information, check smart attributes, which is basically a self-monitoring and analysis and reporting technology that makes the word smart. Also fast and full diagnostics. We'll go ahead and run some fast diagnostics, see if they're actually fast. Oh, and the monkey hits the button. Okay, so I have here read scan. It passed and it says it's ready for use. Now it's doing a data integrity scan, which is running. And it passed, so this drive is good to go. No problems. Go back to the main menu. Sorry about the sloppy camera work. I'm very interested in what this management tool does. Has an optimizer, system configuration tuner, and a secure erase utility. Very interesting. How do you run it though? Oh, you double click it. Did you see that? They don't quite make it evident that this is not just the read. You also can double click on it and it'll come up. So I'm going to go ahead and run this optimizer. And it says that they recommend running this once a week, and I think it allowed you to schedule it. Okay, it says that it passed and it's ready for use, so I guess it's all optimized. And this one checks system configuration and tune settings for best performance, and I love performance, so we'll go ahead and click that and hit tune it. And it says no action required, current settings are optimal. So I guess I'm good to go. And I'm not going to hit secure erase because this will erase all the data on the selected secondary Intel SSD. So of course it's not going to, you know, if this were the only drive in this machine, which it is, it's not going to allow you to do this. So, but if it were your secondary drive, then it would allow you to do it. So there's the tools on there. Pretty neat. And I'm very happy with this drive's performance. Very happy. Back to the Intel website, I went ahead and grabbed the firmware update, the firmware update tool, which gives you an ISO. An ISO is basically an image of a CD. So once you download it, if you double click on it, your CD software, in my case Nero, will kick off and go in, and it burns your disk, which it just did, and it just spit out. So I went ahead and grabbed my portable CD player that I hooked up, or DVD CD player that I hooked up to my NetTop, since it does not have a drive in it, and one-handedly throw that in here, and we'll see what the firmware does. I'm going to go ahead and throw this camera on the tripod real quick so the camera work looks a little better. The way that the firmware utility works is you have to boot off the disk that you burnt. So I went ahead and booted up, hit F2 to get into my BIOS, and I'm making sure that the CD here will boot, the machine will boot off the CD before it accesses the hard drive, so we could boot off the CD here, which it is. So I'll go ahead and exit out, and it should boot off the CD. And I can hear it accessing. There's the light going. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here so you can see what a firmware update for the drive looks like. So it's asking me if I agree to the license again. Again, how many people out there read them? Do I accept the terms? Yeah. Okay, it's found the SSD. There it is, and it's asking if I want to update the drive. I am going to select yes and enter. Do I really want to proceed? Now, you know what? Before I do this, actually, that's a good question. Before you do things like this, you really should have your machine plugged in. Because, you know, whenever you're doing a firmware update, if the battery were to fail or to run out in the middle, you could end up bricking your device that you're doing your firmware update on. So, alright, now that we're plugged in, I will go ahead and hit yes, enter, and it's updating. I'll go ahead and zoom in there so you can see it. Old school DOS looking screen there. And it says this could take 30 seconds. Is anybody timing it? Complete. No other SSD firmware is done. It says please remove the disk, power off, and restart. So we'll go ahead and power off. I'm going to pull the disk. You know what? It's alright. I got to pull the CD out of this thing, which I didn't do before I unplugged it, unfortunately. So now I got to plug this back in. Anyway, we'll go ahead and turn this on. Make sure it still works. One other thing I wanted to add really quick, I'm sort of sliding this in, videotaping it after, but I'm sticking it in the middle here, is do not defragment a solid state drive. I was actually looking through some of the instructions, don't tell anybody, and it said do not run defragmentation software on an SSD on a solid state drive. Kind of makes sense. You don't have things spinning around and sectors and tracks and everything on a solid state drive, so there's no need to defragment. Don't do it. Well, it looks like it booted up fine. So there you have it. I took you just about through every aspect of my bad hair day, and also installation of a solid state drive into a net top. Really interesting. I'll go ahead and turn up this bright light here. Really interesting, and this is my first solid state drive, so I'm going to put it through the ringer and get very familiar with the way these things work, but I'm very happy with it. I like the idea of it just being cooler, being able to take more shock, and being a little bit faster, but they are still pricey. The time of taping this video, I like that, taping a video, whatever. You know, for a 40 gig solid state drive, a value price, cheap, it cost $89. And in a year or two, we're going to be laughing at this, because you remember when flash drives were like a couple of meg and they cost, you know, $50, $60, and now you could get a 32 gig flash drive for that price. So it's amazing how fast electronics, computer parts, and computer gizmos depreciate. You know, when they sit on vendors have to make sure that they don't sit on the shelf very long, because they're losing profits every minute they're sitting on the shelf. So anyway, I would like to end the video as I always end it, and that is to thank viewers and friends and subscribers. I really appreciate every one of you, as well as our men and women in the armed forces, serving now or retired, in police and firemen and other public servants. Remember, you're our servants. We're paying your pay, your paycheck. Our taxes pay you for you, so you better not be surfing porn.